Nintendo Switch Lite in yellow. Charging port failure. Has anybody attempted to fix the device before? Yes, but not being able to get it working and not sure if I've caused further issues. Bought the Switch to attempt the repair, but failed. So this is one of those ones where it's like, you know, somebody's probably making a profit off of this, but regardless, nonetheless, I have chosen to go ahead with the repair. Hopefully we can get it fixed. It's in pieces, like I said, so I don't even know what's what at this point. It doesn't have the white thumbsticks on the device. I'm going to go ahead and assume it's no power. I'm looking forward to also seeing what the state of the port is. Oh, the motherboard's in here. What's going on? All right, so we have a loose heatsink. We've got the motherboard in bubble wrap. At least they've taken good care of that. Oh, and the game card reader's in here as well. I have to be careful not to snag any of the ribbon cables. Okay. The actual PCB motherboard. How's this looking? It looks like it's been sat in somebody's cupboard for 15 years. There's quite a lot of dust. You can't really even see it. Can you see it here? I'm sure we'll be able to see it on the scope. Can you see it's got like a thin layer of... Oh, wow. Yeah, you'll definitely be able to see it now. I mean, how long has somebody had this sat in their drawer for? Ready? Wow, this is caked. I'm looking forward to having a look at the actual port itself. Is the board bent? Oh, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. Look, this is bad in the sense that there's quite a lot of gunk here from... I don't know if you guys can see at this angle. There's quite a lot of gunk. But a lot of this is flux. It's burnt flux. So it looks a lot worse than what it is. Once I've applied some heat, this is going to come off really easy. The question is, what else is potentially messed up here? Because we've got a lot of sensitive chips in this location. You can see that the bubbles of flux that you've got surrounding the port and just at the bottom here, that's not the... Is that the board bubbling or is that flux? I think it's flux. We're going to have to go under the scope and have a look at that. And yeah, this side, again, we've just got some burn marks. Well, again, I don't think this is going to be too bad. It's just, do you know what? The worst thing is about all of this is the fact I have to put this Nintendo Switch Lite completely back together. The board does look a little bit bent though. Probably due to like some excess heat. Let's check this board under the scope then, shall we? First looks. I'll be honest, not horrendous. Not horrendous. As we know, guys, as well, don't forget there's people learning all the time. This might have been the very first repair this person has partaken in. So we also have to bear that in mind. We almost have to not critique and give feedback instead, you know, to help that person develop with their repairs. We've got the battery connector, which is... Okay, I've just noticed this. Right, this is the FPC connector for the daughter board to hook up with the main board. This is going to need replacing. Yeah, we can see the dust. This needs a this does need a clean. I'd rather just get the work done, I think, first, and then look to give it a clean. Get some of this thermal paste off. When I say thermal paste, I mean hair, because there could be a few things wrong with this. Needs to get rinsed under the tap. Facts. Are you somebody who needs custom parts quick time? PCBWay makes it ridiculously easy with their instant quote tool. Just upload your Gerber files for the PCB and you are ready to go. The customization on this website is unmatched. They don't just do PCBs either. They offer CNC machining, 3D printing, sheet metal fabrication, and even injection molding. It's all there for the taking. And if you're personally stuck for ideas on what to make or just love a good browse, check out their shared projects and online shop, packed with community builds and parts ready to order. Hit the link in the description and give it a try. All right, let's IPA this. Get it nice and clean. Ready? I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this to work, but I will try. Now, is that trace? No, it's not. Good. I was a little bit worried, but it's not trace. I'm really nervous to turn this over. Okay, just what I thought. We have a missing fuel gauge down here, and this all needs a clean up. So the way we do this is we remove the port, we remove this, and we give everything a nice clean again. And we start from scratch because this is going to need replacing, so I need to pull that from a donor. I have no idea if this is going to work. I'm going to go ahead and say, and put all my chickens in the it's probably not going to work basket, is how I feel about this. Could be wrong. First things first, hot air. So I'm going to go 450, 50% underneath, and I'm going to get these little things off. Both the port, I've got a nice wide scope view here, using the W lens on the scope. So I'm going to take the port off, and I'm going to take this off. Hopefully at the same, well, not exactly the same time, but in one foul swoop. Look at that flux. You see that flux bubbling? We're about to have a party. It smells. This flux smells. Please no rip traces. Good news! Patience. Cool. Now, we clean. Before we do anything else, we clean. Clean as we go. Look at that. We got a bit of charcoal here. It'll be difficult, man. It's going to be really difficult because of the charcoal. Yeah. Maybe savable. Maybe savable. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's come back in with some hot air. Whoa, look at that. The bubbliness. Ugh. Jeez. Jeez, jeez, jeez. I need to come at this with a toothbrush, to be fair. Let's get this off first. Look at that. This flux is weird. It's like honey. Honey flux, you know. But the board has a little bit of warmth in. And then we go like this. Watch this. Ready? Now, the reason that happened and cleaned very nicely is because we had a warm board plus IPA. Already, this looks 10 times better. We're going to dab. We're going to use a Joey wipe, as PLD likes to call it. What have they tried to do with those holes? I think maybe what's happened, here's my prognosis. I don't know if that's the right word. I think they've got a little bit happy with the tweezers around here, and they've got frustrated with the fact that it wasn't going in because maybe not enough heat supplied or something like that, and they've made that worse, you know? How's that look? That's better. It's much better. Is that a bit of solder? I think it was. I think it is. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Well, can we get this with the... Might be able to just get this with the iron. I don't think I necessarily need the solder sucker here. Let's see. It does look fizzy, but it's not fizzy. I thought the same, but it's not a fizzy drink. Right, I put some hot air into the board. Let's grab some wick. Wickety wick, 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 wick. I know there's quite a bit of solder on the back end of this. How's that? Yeah, it's on the other side. Okay. We've got majority of this solder off. I'm going to be putting my own solder on anyway, so we should be able to mix with it. This is coming off relatively easy. Let's see how easy this comes off this side. I've not put any flux here, by the way. Yeah, it should be fine. If I had issues, like massive issues getting rid of this, I'll probably look to solder sucker it out. But given that it's pretty easy to work with, I think we just add our leaded. Another little tiny clean. Do you think the battery connector needs to be replaced? No. Visually, it looks all right. I think a battery will go in there just fine, to be fair. If the plastic was a little bit more melted, I'd actually incline with you. Is that a word? Let's fill this up with leaded. Lovely jubbly. And you can see that the board's a little bit burnt. It's just, is the board in an okay condition to actually work is the question. Let's clear this quickly. And I'm going to have to get another fuel gauge. Bit of flux. Let's wick this up. Beautiful. There it is. So we have our foundations ready. That's a nice clean fuel gauge pads right there. And now I just need to reball a fuel gauge very, very quickly. Take one from a Donier. Wow. That came off super easy. I'm going to apply a tiny bit of flux on this IC. And then we take our wickety wickety wick. Gorgeous, look at that. 0.2, I'm sure. I've got 2.5 here. Shall I get 2.5? So I've got 0.25 size balls here. I'm going to see if we can get away with that. Let's see, how do we fare? We might be okay. There's quite a lot of liquid on here. I did wipe it. Now we're good. Ready? Come in with our flux very slowly. Very, very slowly. I could mess the whole thing up. Au revoir, bonjour, je m'appelle Joey. There we go. Whilst I'm here, let's use the 3D aspect of this Tomlov microscope, shall we? Look at that. Lovely. That chip is ready to go. Very careful here. This is so easy to mess up, this one. So easy to mess up. For those who have done a fuel gauge before, it's quite difficult because of how small the chip is. It's as simple as that. Because of how small this chip is, it's really, really difficult to make sure, A, it doesn't float. Now, what do I mean by float? Especially if you get too much flux underneath it, the chip can wobble about. The flux can push the chip to go places you don't want it to go. And at that point, the solder, it melts roughly around about the same time as what the flux does. I've got a little bit of flux down there, as you can see on the board. But I need to get the chip in a good enough location. I need to see where the plus is on the chip, because the plus on the chip actually indicates pin 1. And at the moment, I can't see that. So I'm going to get a little bit of IPA and just clean it with a brush. sorry, with a cotton swab. And now if I look at that, there we go. So you see the plus in the top left, that needs to correspond with this arrow that I've got here. So pin 1 is actually this way for this IC. Just there. I'm going to put it up to 20% at 440. Actually, no, I'm going to do 30%. This is really tough. So there's a couple of ways that we can do this. The way that I'm going to do is I'm going to get my tweezers and I'm going to rest my tweezers. Lewis Rossman done a great video on this, by the way. Wish me luck, guys. I'm going to come off the heat. Notice how I keep my tweezer hand still. I'm not moving that tweezer hand. It hasn't moved at all. The only hand I'm moving is my right hand for the hot air. I'm just going to release it a little bit and see if it moves, which it doesn't. It's soldered down at least. Then I'm going to come in with a tiny bit of flux now. Tiny, minuscule. And reflow. And hopefully, doesn't always happen. Hopefully we'll see success. There it is. See it sit flat? That chip should be soldered on now. How is this chip looking? We look good. I think that's, you see how on the left we don't get a nice shiny ball there? That's going to be either two things. It might be that it's conjoined with the ball above, or it's flux. My bet is flux. So I think we're good enough to now just at least put the port on and see what we get. Is that fuse hanging on for dear life? What happened there? Right, let's drop our port in then, because we've had to tidy this up so far, haven't we? Coming with some flux now. Again, I don't like to add too much. Spread it. There we go. So I've gone 450 degrees Celsius with an airflow speed of 50% right now. I've got my Nintendo Switch Lite port in my hand, in the palm of my hand. And I'm going to try and place it on. Now how this is going to go, I've got no idea because of how this board looks, but I'm hopeful. What I'm waiting for here is for the solder to molten in all the ground holes. That's what I really want. So can you see the pads are moltening now? There we go. And there goes the ground holes. 1, 2 is going. There it goes. Drop. 3. Good. And 4. Perfect. And now I'm going to try and put the port on. Will it sit flat is the question. I'm going to keep my heat there. It's wobbling around, which is kind of good. I'm just going to push it back and see if I can push it down. I need to be able to push it down. I think it's down. I think we're good. I'm going to keep the hot air on for a little bit longer. It's had enough hot air already, so I don't think it's going to do much damage, you know. I'm just going to hold it there, give it a little tap on the top, and come off now. Keep held down very lightly. Not much pressure at all. Not much pressure at all. Keep that left hand very steady. There we go. And it's solidified. Perfect. Now I'm going to come in with a cotton swab and we're going to clean very quickly whilst the board is nice and hot. Because when the board is nice and hot, heat is your friend. And you can clean things very easy. You don't have to come in with IPA at this moment in time anyway, whilst the board is nice and warm. How do we look this side? Good. A few blobbies, but that's okay. To sort the blobbies, it's very simple. We come in with a hot air, our soldering line, and we can, I think without flux, we might be able to get away with it. No, we're not. If the board is hot enough, we would. And we're going to come in with a little bit of flux then. Just a little bit. Don't necessarily have to do this, but this is more so for my sanity. To make it look nicer, anyway. There we go. Lovely! Jobly. Right, fuel gauge replaced. Port on. Need to check those pins. Is the port flat is the question. Can you see we've got a little bit of a bend here on both sides? Now, that could be, can you see that? Look, if I push down, you see that? That could be because the board is bent itself, or it could be because the port's not being pushed down enough because we've got something blocking it. I hope it's the first situation. Let's take the L lens and get a nice big zoom on here to make sure that all of our pins are connected. Sometimes you don't have to do it because you just know, but because this has had a previous repair attempt, I just want to make sure that we're good. They actually look all right, you know. I think we might be lucky. And chances are, what I usually say is, chances are if these pins are okay, the ones underneath are going to be okay as well. Yeah, we're okay. We're all right. I'm surprised because of what the state of this board when we first started. Nice. That's all cool. And you can see that we've got the burn mark here on the PCB. Again, we're not going to be able to do anything about that. It was already there when we started the repair. And we've got a tiny bit of singe on the plastic, but that should be absolutely fine. What do we have to do now? We have to really quickly put this FPC connector back on. And the way we do that is as follows. Okay. So we've got FPC. Is that rust? Okay. Oh, okay, wait, we might be lucky. To be fair, that looks quite surface level. I think we've got this just in time, by the way. I think we have this just in time. I'm a little bit worried about that gang of components down there. And my worry is that over time, that's just going to get worse. Let me see if I can get my toothbrush right in there. Yeah, I'm brushing on the components as well, and they're not coming off. So I feel like they're on there sturdy. It's just, is the Wi-Fi going to work? This is the Wi-Fi IC. This big grey one there. I just wonder if the Wi-Fi IC is going to work. I hope so. Like I say, I think we got to that just in time. And the rust hasn't, I don't think, gone over here. I think this is just flux. It's just horrible, horrible flux. That's better. It looks a lot better than what it did. I just don't want it there. We're okay. We're okay, guys. So I'm going to take a shield from a Donner, and then simply I'm going to shabazz it. Watch this. Ready? Shabazz. Right on there. Look at that. Like nothing happened. Now, back to what I was talking about originally. An FPC connector here for the daughter board. I'm just going to make sure that these pins are actually okay before I rip it off and use it. Yeah, look to be good. So I'm going to take that and put it on here. So what do I do for this? I put some fluxy over here. I'm coming with my soldering iron right now. And I'm going to tin these pads with leaded solder. A little bit on the edge of my iron. I'm just going to tin here. Like that. So I've got a nice few bumps here of solder. Now again, I always like to use donor FPC connectors and components where I can because they're already pre-tinned with solder. It makes life a lot easier than using new components, in my opinion. So that is now ready. I'm going to put it in my Hakko PCB holder. This can be one of the most terrifying things that you do when you learn how to solder. But then with enough practice, you get your own little method. You understand a little bit more how it works. You'll have it in due course. It's just patience. Everything is just patience when it comes to board repair. You're not going to be a wizard at it straight away. So what I'm doing now, on the other board, I'm just taking off the FPC connector in question to transfer it. Now, there's no need to replace that 3-pin battery connector. I think it's going to be fine. Okay, one of them's been, the FPC connector has been extracted. Now what I'm going to do is apply some flux to this board. Not too much. That's about it. I'm going to spread it out. I don't like using a lot of flux here. Shock. Joey doesn't like using much flux. The reason being is because I don't want to get it in the connector. It's horrible. So I'm going to come in now and line this up as best as I possibly can, and I'm going to let the hot air do the work. So here goes the FPC connector. Line it up, and the way I usually line it up is by the pins on the end, and then just making sure that I can see enough of the pins either side, if possible. Something like that, down this way. Guys, this is with my weaker hand. You learn to use your weaker hand a lot, by the way, when you do micro soldering. I'm going to switch over to my right to just push this over a little bit. And I think that's going to be good. Should be. It needs to come down a little bit more, tiny bit. Ever so slight. There. And now I'm going to come in with my hot air gun, 450 degrees Celsius, airflow speed 50% from the underneath. I'm just going to let the hot air do the work. Watch this. Rotating the heat round and round. Never keeping it stagnant. I don't like it. It can burn the PCB. Very much like what's been done on this board already. I'm just rotating it around. And because we've got leaded solder on the pads, this shouldn't take as long as what it did to take off. So you can see it. Can you see it going now? See that? And you'll see it shift into place. There we go. I'm just going to hold it. Make sure all of it is molten. Keep rotating. A lot of people, I think, as well, take off a little bit too early. But if you're rotating that heat, there's nothing wrong with just giving it that extra bit to make sure. Now, all of the pins might not be soldered here. It's rare that they're not, but it can happen. So don't beat yourself up about it. But you can see that's gone into place. And again, practice what I preach. Clean, clean, clean. So as soon as that solidifies, which I believe it has now, if I give it a nudge just to show you. Yep. I'm going to come in with a cotton swab either side of the connector. So that side and just this side. And now we're going to inspect the connector to make sure it's all good. Connector, tell me a story. How are we looking? Good. Can you see how all the pins look like they've got solder on them and they look like they're connected? If I run my tweezers here, you can see when I push, the pins aren't moving. I'm not going to do every single one because I have faith that they are all soldered. And then if I look at the other side as well, you see this side, you can see that they are all soldered. Lovely. Jubbly. Quick check for shorts to make sure that I don't put power in and blow the whole thing up. What microscope am I using? We now have affiliation with Tom Love. I'll happily recommend their product for people to buy if they want to, and I get a kickback if somebody purchases through either Amazon or their direct website. A couple of easy things. Fuse, continuous path. I'll check the fuel gauge just by turning it on. Let's check around M92T36. CPU cap. Maybe I should check that first. M92T36 is okay. I'm just looking for shorts on either side of these caps. Sorry, not either side, on the side that goes into the chip. And it looks like we are all good. Yeah, we're looking okay. So no shorts around M92, the fuse is good, and no shorts around BQ. Should have a working board. And if we do, this will be a really, really nice fix. What I'm looking for here is I'm looking for a nice, healthy 15 volts going up to around about 6 milliamps, 30 milliamps, and dropping down to about 6 and then off. Something like that. What do we get? Yes, that is a good boot. Let's try the other side. We're looking all right so far. We are looking all right. This is good news for the person that sent this in. I've got so much stuff to put back together, like so much, as we can see from the bag that we've been supplied with. I then abruptly had to end the stream, and I said to myself that I'd put this back together after the stream ended, and it's not good news. The device is on, believe it or not. So if I go over to my ammeter, we can see 548 milliamps. If I press a button, for example, let's do the home button actually, you can see that it actually turns on. So it's 678, 684, whatever it is. So this device is on. If I turn it around to the back as well, you should be able to see you're probably not going to be able to get that on camera. There is a backlight on. That backlight is on. So I can tell the backlight and the backlight circuit is working. It just seems to be the actual LCD itself. Now that could be the actual chassis being damaged. I did change out one of the analog sticks. I need to do the other one. Or it could be something else, maybe on the actual LCD circuit, which is here. We could also have a bad FPC connector, or for example, maybe one of the pins inside the FPC connector has gone bad, but it's not fixed just yet. The good news is that it powers on and I can see that again from the ammeter, but we don't have a screen, which obviously is not good. I can't give this back in that state. Hopefully I can fix the issue with the LCD. So let's investigate that. First things first, let's try and rule out a bad pin in the FPC connector. I think that's going to be my first thing to look for. Any bad pins? Yeah, right there. Would you look at that? So that is probably causing our issue. Can I get a tweezer down there to sort that? I might be able to. Wait there. This can happen so easily, by the way. I'm going to try and get it right down the back there so I can just lift it up like that. Well, that might have done it, to be honest. If not, I'm going to have to change it, but that might be okay. All the gold ones at the bottom look to be all right. Let me see if that worked. If so, that's going to save me quite a bit of time. Let's have a look and see what happens. Does it power on? Let me flip it over. Well, we know it powers on. Does the screen work? 3, 2, 1. I have no idea. Well, no, it doesn't. Wrong cable. Wrong cable. Yep. Okay, so this, fun fact, this is plugged into my PC and would have supplied 5 volts and actually turned the console on, which is why it's jumped straight up to the 600 or so, but we still get no display, which is interesting to me. I don't know if maybe the connector is broken itself, the FPC connector that is, just here, or whether it's going to be the actual screen. I might really quickly change the chassis, just dump this board into another one to see if it's a screen issue or whether it's going to be something else, because yeah, we still definitely get no display on here. The reason why I'm doing that is because it's the quickest option in this scenario. Just take that, put it into another chassis, rather than get the board out, inspect the components to see if there's any shorts, etc. I'll dump it in another one and just rule that out quickly. Right, here we go, nice and simple. This has a note on it saying test housing, so if this doesn't work screen wise, I'll be very angry at myself. Here we go, 450, 432, I think we're just looking at, oh, there we go. Okay, all right, and it's going to turn on. Ah, there we go. So it's the screen that's faulty on this device. This screen is also faulty. As you can see, it's very, very dull. But at least I know that the screen itself on the motherboard, so like the components and the LCD connector, that all works, and that's why it's worth just testing these things. So now all I need to do is find a nice, suitable home for this, and which is going to suck, to be honest, because I don't know if I have any that are working. And I don't want to send this back and just say, oh, everything's fixed, by the way, you just need to put it in a new chassis. Is that somewhat unfair? I don't know, because I fixed majority of the issues. Interesting. I've just found an identical yellow one that I have no idea if it works or not. I'll have to change over the thumbsticks, but if it does, that'll be a bit of a miracle. Oh, this one's quite bent, actually. so I don't know if it will be okay. That's not going to affect the motherboard once everything's screwed down. It just kind of depends if the screen is actually working, but that's all I can supply at this moment in time. Change of plan, I have returned with a much better chassis that I actually hunted down in the loft, and this is what it looks like now. It's not going to be perfect because nothing ever is perfect, but you know, we've got a slight ding up here. It's not bent in any way, shape or form, and this is the same back housing that the person gave me. And if I show you, we do have ourselves a working Nintendo Switch. I've replaced both of the joysticks. This is something that I would definitely feel comfortable selling on eBay. The screen is pretty immaculate, if I'm honest. Need to give it a little bit more of a charge, but this is now ready to go back. I've tested. We do connect to Wi-Fi in a second. It's just booted up. You can see here as well that I've tested a game, Mario Superstar, so that's all good also. And the Wi-Fi's just kicked in there. So you can see now that it's connected to Wi-Fi as well. So everything with this Nintendo Switch Lite does work exactly how it should. And I've put all the screws back as well. Some of them are a little bit loose, but that's because of the plastic on the inside. But other than that, I think we've done a good job. Huge thank you to Daniel for sending in the Nintendo Switch Lite. If you did enjoy this video, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and as always, I shall see you in the next one. Peace. If you've made it to the end of this video, I have a very funny story. Turns out this device was a sell-a device, not a free repair. So I've just paid £30 for this device, but I thought it was a free repair based on what I was reading at the start. Because I offer both services, the buying a device that's faulty and also doing the free repair, I just got them mixed up. So this is my Nintendo Switch Lite now, and I can do with it what I please. So I'm glad I put it in a nice chassis and all of that stuff, because now I can just list it straight on eBay. That was funny. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.